I all of a sudden find myself awakened after 15 years trying to get awakened or thinking I have been awakened. After 15 years playing Alice in a Wonderland, all of a sudden I'm realizing something here that I just could have not accept immediately. It was too much to accept, and that is this very early beginnings they're talking about in Lord of the Rings, and the way how Serbia also found itself associated to this entire history. I found just too much at a given period of time. And it's like I needed to live again through all of that history. Either the Olymp, I needed to live through Olymp again, to revive it again. I needed to revive the entire monarchy again. I need to revive the entire Renaissance again. It's like I needed to claim it in a certain way before I accept to notice New Zealand. Somehow it happened that way. And now, when I stamped all of the previous and above, I am ready to notice New Zealand. And I'm ready to finally notice how far the entire Middle East defines by it. And now, here we would be questioning now the craft work of Serbia. And Serbia claiming the beginning. And is it really that beginning we can talk about? That we discovered now that we found out Zealandia. We found out Lemuria. We found out there were North and South Pole. It's very hard to understand, to accept that Vinca of Serbia can be the only answer that can top it all. Not Lemuria, not Zealandia. Not even Africa. Not even South America. We can talk about something else. We can talk about interconnection. But if there is a story beyond Lemuria and beyond Zealandia, then that would be story beyond this entire realm itself. And what is beyond this realm is the solar system and the sun energy. Everything else should be relative to this realm or to the solar system. Kind of legislative ground, which was my initial ambition, would start from recognizing the realm of this planet and recognizing the protocol human race, which I have been correctly recognized in my constitution. From that point onwards, it's the realm itself that would be allowed to tell us its story. I have not said I would like to enforce anything there. I certainly have talked about how I perceive historically our civilization was building, recognized monarchy protocol as a protocol of significance rather than insignificance, recognized the matrix of a woman, recognized the importance of family. All of that is rather neutral of any more specific clarifications, and certainly would allow enough space that we implement in such constitution that from where I start my elaborations, start my work, that we implement our more specific realizations. Of course, when we be assured enough that is the correct piece of information that we can enclose next in our constitution. But as I have said, I finally find myself mentally prepared to notice New Zealand after I get feeling that I sorted out Northern Hemisphere somehow within my mind, my own mindset, of course. What bubble is but a mind of a person. And yes, now I am very happy to notice New Zealand and to admire New Zealand as I always have been, and as everyone can only admire this wonderful land and this wonderful realm as well. And be nothing less of happy to find myself associated to this island. I have nothing against it, absolutely. As long as I don't have Northern Hemisphere out of leash in terms of recognizing the main aspects of a civilizational deploy as historic heritage there, as I have spoken already. But I'm very happy to keep New Zealand as a national park, and I'm very happy to live here as within some kind of normal lifestyle. If I was not treated as some kind of oil derivation protocol. So yes, I guess now I understand alignment with prime societies and why prime societies would be concerned about their survival. But in the same time, there is a conflicting line here of how they talk about artificial design, artificial intelligence. And it's very hard, I think, here where it is that where I find my conflicting line with New Zealand as well, when it comes to what is more native. Is it the body or the mind? I would say mind, they're saying body. And I think we have not agreed yet how the mind works. I think in that aspect, I can be a bit more advanced than they are. I'm just saying my general impression. Nothing less of native New Zealand, but native New Zealand that clearly they don't know enough about. After all, we saw something in Star Wars movie anyway. And it was quite about the mind, although they have projected it as some kind of muddy mind, some kind of grey, very dull colors, as they have not seen in New Zealand before, as they have not seen the nature of this earth before. But if someone was having that kind of mind capacity, and then you see this beautiful planet created as it is, would you not put that in one formulation? Would you not eventually notice that this realm would have something to do with such kind of mind? How on earth you could have projected such a dark figure in Star Wars movie? But then given such mental capacity. Can't you see what kind of realm this is? Why would you not speak about women, by the way, anyway, as well? Why it has to be men always, when it is some upper position, more important position, it's always men? Why on earth you have mental dimension of such capacity and then it is a man, some kind of little unattractive man with some kind of little dark unattractive dimension? Where is the beauty? And where is the magic of a beautiful mind? Where is the beautiful woman and the beautiful magic of a beautiful woman? Where that disappeared? Why it is not good enough for you? It's a worn out story? It was too much exploited in previous times? I don't think so. Why on earth you don't talk about the beginnings in a format of beautiful woman and beautiful magical mind and beautiful realm created out of such mind? Why on earth you just don't say the real true story about this planet? What's there to be afraid of? I would be much more afraid of your dark, unattractive black figures than what would be always the real history of this planet. Why continue to hide it, for God's sake? What kind of coverage on earth that was of New Zealand in Star Wars? Why anyone would say New Zealand like that? That is how you would see the beginning before it's to be this beautiful planet. Or then it would be rather nothing than ugliness. The work I'm presenting here is quite raw for my standards, not for any other standards. The initial approach I'm using here is basically my own notebook, making my own notes. In the same time, obviously, as I have not received what I have asked for, suitable, at least, certainly more than 10 assistants, I have not received. I can imagine it happened on some kind of planetary level. Actually, it happens on planetary level. It doesn't certainly work towards bringing on my personal level higher assistance and resulting in better and having more time for some kind of subtle presentation. I always feel somehow urged to step on the ground. Is like always I need to intervene somehow. It became more like a St. John ambulance car than Mary Olympia Themis of conceptual philosophical thinking of Olymp. It's more St. John intervention on the spot. Saint Mary intervention on the spot. And works based on donations. And live out of donations. Rather than out of my castle and temple. Temple when I'm dead. When I'm alive, it's castle. Serbia. Serbia, repeat 30 times per day. Saint temple is for dead people. For living people, there is a castle. That is in castle. When I go in castle, then I bring you as my advisors. Or it may be good for making me tea or something. Depends. Montenegrins. For what you're good at. Maybe good to design me a garden. And plant me flowers. I think it's going to be a better option than what you have taken for you today. And who on earth is keeping these people present in their definition of monastery? That reminds me very much on Vatican. Because of the one that can are actually locked in Vatican. Yet clearly it's the name of the prison. I mean, hello, Yes, exactly. It's the name of the prison. As it was Auschwitz, for example. It's the name of the prison. Ushi means ears. Auschwitz. Aushi. 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 S-Viz. Including Wizard. S-Wizard. A-Ushi. S-Wizard. Auschwitz. Ushi, ears. A-Ears. S-Wizard. I certainly would include me as well. Anna Frank. Vatican is the name of the prison. As this Canada, Canada. America, that's completely reference to me as well. America is kind of me. I can't believe I have become such kind of country. So we do better than that. But it is made out of excellence in music, in sport, in various areas. Basically, America is based on promotion of excellence. The best sportists are there, the best protagonists, the best scientists. America is still country of the best. Just regretfully, no one is seeing America like that. No one understood America like that. Maybe because America become, in the same time, very much overtaking an oppressive country. I'm teacher. I would rather expect I would not be. That's obviously W protocol, clearly, and it is taking what they want to take and obviously translate it in their cowboy way. I'm a teacher. I would be teaching the planet would be nation, garden of nations under my spell. But that is what happens when someone get the ball and run away with it somewhere else. And like it's their ball. And start acting like it's their ball. A double dip mistake. In that respect, I want to say how I see the solution. No, I'm not going to see the solution in the monastery. It's castle. Yeah, it's castle. Yes, exactly. And it still exists somewhere there as a formation. I am damn entitled to use it. With all the Montenegrins in service, yes. As per capacity and work they can enclose. But not monastery, for God's sake. Not prison gate. Not prison gate. Certainly not for my people. I don't know who, because they are a bit cloudy. Someone imposed on them that religion, or maybe there is some kind of bio reasons why they need some kind of hiding and deploy of their secret. Who knows? Maybe there are some kind of animals under the ground, and they need the procession before they get on the ground. I don't believe in that too much, to be honest. But my version is that they are being thrown there like in a prison, and that is how you actually create land of slaves or cleaning protocol. So someone they are giving death penalty to Middle East regular. I mean, they're young kids. Guess they have 8-10 kids, so they can die in the war more. They might producing a war machine out there, like munition or something. We are obviously slave lands of living mummies, like in Tibet. half dead people. And how you accomplish that? Well, by holding them in monasteries. Well, their mind is going to be available and their body completely switched off because they don't have life there. It's just about the mind. It's complete mind extraction. You already have artificial intelligence. That was the religion. Religion was artificial intelligence because it was all about the using mind of these people. And they have like 10 universities out there, 10 professions. Well, you're going with high school all the way to the president. And what we're talking about, and we're talking about heaven land, defined. High school degree, no problem, you get a job and then you go and drink beer and I don't know what. You see, here on this planet, actually, when you look like that, no one actually wins. Technically, no one wins. Because everyone is miserable in its own ways. And then you end up blaming each other. And that is another double dip. When you start also blaming each other. I can't stop blaming my poor sister for betraying me, and you know, there is no the little excuse that she was not capable to make proper judgment, or she would do it again and again and again. Because the thing like that need its place under the sun, and if that can be the highest, well, why she would not take it? If the system can approve it, because the system thinks. By downplaying the other side, they are going to solve their own problems, as Americans today are thinking. By having fun with us, in continuation giving us exactly what was given to us previously, they will be the one to get better off. Or they are part of the same mechanism. Now, of course, you're going to be equally worse because you have problem today to elect a president. I mean, to find. Well, yes, you get a mirror to see that it's playing on your side as well, on different level, but it is exactly the same story. And knock you down, knocking someone down, and then we continue to knock each other down as well. A part of the someone is knocking us down with the system given to us like that. We continue to knock each other additionally. That's double dip. But there is someone that does not. There is someone there that does not accept change as well. For them, the system as it is perfect. So they would just like to continue to control it. What I wanted to say is, the solution I see is, therefore, on the next line. I'm going to find the solution firmly, again, how I perceived it. This is the highest level of philosophy. Belongs to Olymp. It's being born from there, I would assume. We still have recorded the biggest philosophers of all of the times somehow located in that region. People here do not exactly have that kind of habit. People on our territories do have such kind of habit. So I am returning. This level of philosophy belongs to Olymp. and it is fair, it is correct answer to bring it there. Or to make Olymp, to me, makes sense. If it took a couple of months to make barracks for the atomic bomb that went on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, well, I think a few months of time would be enough to make the barracks for our Olymp, where we actually deliver this philosophy, this work in most organized manner. I'm going to continue to believe that is the best way how to bring this in more serious way and introduce it as such. As analysis of last 2 millenniums of civilizational development on Earth, where we would be enclosing basically this kind of perspective, which in substance is beyond political. It is in reference to cultural systems that exist on the planet, beyond politics. I'm not going to call it politics. This is philosophical, cultural, philosophical, and would belong as such as a reference to Olymp as well, because it would be closer to Book of Creation than politics, and would be dealing with us sealing on the principles of creation. In the same time, of course, because this belongs to the planet, this subject, I would expect, therefore, very much all of the different cultures bringing their cultural systems, and in such way we bring this kind of planetary presence, where we will be discussing the various cultural systems and the fact that it is time that we move on. Most of these different cultural systems are very much predatory versus the another. Today we have to reconcile and move away from that kind of predatory, because we live on one planet here. And maybe that planet once upon a time looked big, when there was no telecommunication, when there was no traveling, although it was recorded that all of that was present. But then the war happened as well. And nothing was really solved. We should learn, get some lecture from there. The war is going to solve nothing, and the problems are going to stay. So therefore, our answer is not a war. Our answer is to work it out. It's harder. It's much harder than to kill someone. But it is in promise to solve. It is in promise, but it's certainly going to deliver our civilization next level. Because we don't think of each other today as such. I'm very sure we have we are closer much more to problem-solving attitudes today than to that level of predatory or killing another attitude. So why we would allow to continue to take over us when we feel completely different about this world and about different cultures? We want traveling, we want blah blah blah. It's a completely new world, and it is time to be sealed on the parameters of politics and the way how cultures relate to each other. The difficulty there is that the territories are not strong enough. It is not exactly America or Russia. It is not even England. The territories are very poor, economically very poor, and any decision that would make is going to be probably worse than United Nations. United Nations also appear to be completely powerless today. No one is paying attention to it. It's certainly a costly event. Certainly someone is paying for it, providing for it. But still always I can imagine nations by themselves it is costly event, but it is very low efficiency. Now we might provide less costly event, but what kind of efficiency we are going to guarantee? A part of us revealing the secrets. That is why someone is saying that insisting on bringing the work in England is going to be, it is nothing of better solution. Because it is about revealing the secrets. Well, I think that in England it's going to be actually about solving the secrets. Because the real land of secrets is England rather than Greece. And in England, I think the efficiency might be higher as well, because at the moment it has become the round table of humanity itself. As we speak, it is the strongest financial hub on the planet, where it is like New Switzerland, or certainly level of Hong Kong, Singapore, and the rest, where money are speaking by themselves, and where has been validated only the language of money. It is the highest predatory language of all. It is the real language of predators. And if the center of it still is England, it would mean that the center of predatory is England. So why I would be solving it in Greece when the center of it is in England? If we don't step on the house, on the matrix of the house where the problems are, we cannot solve it. So no, the House of Secrets are not our territories. The House of Secret is England. And that will need to be basically opened or dismantled and reformed. So no, I'm not going to go on the land of temples. That is where people go when they die. I need to go on the land of castles, where people go when they are alive. And if you were thinking about some kind of Cinderella project, I have 2 kids. So you're a bit late as well. I mean, you should have think like that when I was 20. Now it's too late. On 65, it is not about Cinderella, it's about the mother or the matrix. It is about who is the actual matrix. Question. My shouting, I think that is actually it does have its layers. And first is that I feel like I owe the subject, that this is my house, and then out of that is the anger. So there is this kind of almost dictating narrative which comes out of more like military command center, which is truly what monarchy in substance, in its own roots is. So it is, and I allow myself to be much more genuine, so I can actually scan myself as well, and that is what I'm scanning. This is military. The driver here is that I I believe that I own the subject. You know, there are millions of YouTube presenters today. But I am the only one that actually can say that I own these subjects. They do not own the subjects that they are discussing. They are discussing them, but they are not their subjects. The way how I present the subjects is as a house. I present the subjects as house. I own the subjects. I own the subjects. That is the initial driver. And then comes irritation or disagreement with how the subjects ended to be presented. So that is the history. That is why I sound like that. Basically, it's not I'm depicting the character. I am the character. And I very often basically want to bring that level of information, and in the same time basically it is more like historic record. It is more like traveling through the time rather than being in my time. I still can't be in this time. I'm still traveling through the times because I have not found my latest realization. So what is going to be the final form of this traveling through the times is when I settle this work, when I bring this kind of reconciliation, where I accomplish what I intend to accomplish, then would come the calmness, and then would come the present time. This is about going through the times. It is like a time travel. And it is rough and tough, as it would be, traveling through the times. In that regard, I'm going to say again, it's very hard to understand why. I live here in New Zealand since 1996, end of 1996. Starting from 1997, there's three years, and 27 years. I live in New Zealand, full 26 years, almost 27, and no one yet to give me any kind of ambassador position, at least. But I will have to say that appears to be that this is the birthplace of Serbia, actually, and it is a birthplace of Israel for that matter, and it is a birthplace to all of the Middle East. So I can't say on what ground these territories would have that much of a right to precede what these local territories would like or would need to do. It might be that I was certainly centering myself somewhere in center of the planet, and very much disassociating myself from New Zealand. And although in a few occasions they wanted to tell me that there is a secret, that there is a connection, I was still inclined to think that would come from Central Europe here rather than to think that would come from here there. It just looked to me so hard to actually understand it and accept it, And now, somehow, I begin to notice some logic into that. That's similar effect as my first reaction. I don't know about you, but my first reaction of Lord of the Rings. It looks to me so extreme that I could have not possibly give too much weight to it. Yet the movie was made in New Zealand, and it was obviously something that New Zealand wanted to say or to talk about. Although I'm not sure that it was only New Zealand. I'm not sure that it was not actually interpretation, because it is not that we have exactly living subjects of the previous times. And that is what I want. What is my argument in this writing, in this analysis particularly? Would it not territory overlapping in recent history, and not trying to overwrite it? I certainly found myself out of right to be in category of some kind of entrusted with that kind of history. I found myself more like Alice in a Wonderland, and someone was having quite nice fun out of it. I would notice that someone here certainly, to some extent, took ownership of that history, which belongs equally to me as to everyone else, and have tried to play it on my account. That is the only way how I am going to understand why I have been pushed away now from what would be equally my own historic heritage, equally my own ancestry. I have been pushed away from it as I am some kind of guest. Well, some other characters or identities, equally not exactly originating from here, but rather European, took for themselves some kind of upper note, an upper right to declare some kind of higher heritage or higher account to that heritage, pushing me away on the level of relevance. And I would notice that is rather happening somewhere in Europe, and originates in Europe within some kind of detached mode, and then as such imported in New Zealand. And I'm going to find that real substance of the expression lost in translation. When we come to talk, when we need to talk about who would have higher authority here now to speak about these matters in the present times, when the ones that have been living earlier are not living anymore, and we have been left with that history. But who is really more legitimate to represent it today? Especially when Europe continues now to overlap for quite some time. When that secret has been broken and went out of leash, who can be really in charge of it? With higher account, because clearly that's not me. Speaking in European context especially. And it is true that my elaborations prevail on the political philosophy side. But being still about philosophy, they never went too far away from the dimension of life itself. And I have noticed this earth as earth. Nothing less of that would be of New Zealand, as part of this wonderful earth. And here, of course, I would justify my sensitivity, or recognize my sensitivity, or recognition of the presence of nature very much associated to my identity, prevailing therefore to such kind of ancestry that would have been not that much European. Because living in Europe in recent history, you don't end up to be that much aware of nature. You become much more drawn to various creativities, expressionism, socializing, various social politicking, political parties, that kind of over-politicized culture. You don't find in Europe exactly that much of a nature-crafted identities anymore. That would indicate that my New Zealand, this native substance in my identity still would have been strong enough. I was explaining it with Britannia. And yet I'm going to find equally Britannia very much political. More political than I am willing to give place to it. And it's going to question, therefore, it is going to be my question, this lack of political antagonism, how much European that is, really. That is of recent European history. In that context, I would draw my authority on the matters I discuss as matters of my authority, especially now recognizing today a lower or weaker political side in my elaborations and stronger consciousness of the nature itself, which creates stronger bond of my identity with New Zealand and weaker with Europe. On that account, I would question who from European territories would claim or can claim higher authority on these matters than myself when it comes to my work and my identity, which I am going to notice somehow found itself in some kind of unrecognized or not categorized properly protocols. In that context also, I would find nothing more natural than to have my kids returning here home, which is our home for quite some time, as there is no more beautiful home than this one, and it is their home. They have come here at the age of 3 and 5. They would not know for any other home, and would not be mistaken anything here, that they would call themselves home here, and therefore return here and have their families here. As I can't see any other territory winning that status stronger than New Zealand. That is where my mind is today. And I think that this is a very strong argument, especially on the fact that they are being born here. Came here as little kids. And that they feel attached to New Zealand. Also, it's a wonderful place to live. Lifestyle is what they are very much accommodated to it, too. I can't see any reason more why they would not, fantastic place to build, to start family, why they would not return here. I, on the other side, have this work now with me, and I can think where I would be bringing it. Of course, I recognize the United Nations as the most correct place for it. And yes, I didn't want to drop a monarchy as well of England. I'm going to find here even Olymp in this context of Olympia. Opening that new chapter in Europe or rather old chapter, that is going to be harder now to be ignored. And yeah, I'm going to find myself more engaged now in the period ahead rather than my kids, which will need to be devoted to starting their families. And I am being much more free now in this age to participate and assist humanity, to actually assist humanity to bring themselves on better place. So I'm going to ask you to relieve my kids and allow them to return to New Zealand, as it is their true home, to start their families here, and provide me proper working environment where I can bring this work and we can start this discussion with suitable professionals, scientists, and suitable people that are devoted to these matters and are willing to assist. There's plenty from Serbia as well that have been traveling with me all these 15 years and more. Macedonia as well certainly would be qualified. England certainly would be qualified firsthand. New Zealand as well. Australia, nothing less. America, I doubt. I think the planet was very much with me in these 15 years. So let's bring this next level. Let's release kids to make their families, and let's bring ourselves, in more serious next level conversation about this entire matter. And my message to Elon Musk, yes, regards from New Zealand. America, regards from New Zealand. I'm going to say one big no to you, America, because you are quite of customer-related economy and spending-related economy. And New Zealand should be much more in category of, I wouldn't say heuristic, but certainly national park, and would be entitled to be protected as temple category by the special chapter of United Nations, UNESCO, for natural protection of natural resources, as this is one of the most vitally important islands, I think, for the entire human race, given Lord of the Rings uniqueness, let's call it, would indicate that we talk here about really special event, and we would not like to see Americans deploying their commercial flight over this island and this entire concept. I would like to ask Americans to keep their civilizational platform on their continent, and Europe as well, and anyone else. This will be providing this kind of counseling function. Yes, counseling function, as nothing more we can talk about here at this stage before we actually start that communication, and I bring that and you give me that chair of counseling function so we can then open that conversation properly. I don't think that New Zealand can talk to me more than they have already talked to me. They have been talking to me enough, and I have to say that the way how they have been talking to me is what I very much can recognize in Serbia. I cannot tell you how much actually New Zealand connects to Serbia in certain aspects, and for that matter, it would be birthplace of Palestine and Israel, as how I have recognized actually, as we were talking about, we would be talking about kids. All of the nations in that regard would happen as kids actually. And yes, this is these are the parameters on which this should and can be summed. More specifics would be somehow still very much around us to notice. Not much we can talk in blunt manner, and we will need to bring that discussion within certain context. That is why I have asked also for assistance for group of professionals. I bring my philosophical skill, but I would also like to have some kind of team of archaeologists, historians, literature writers. It doesn't have to be in plural, maybe it's singular, but still, I think speaking of team would require, there are plenty of people out there that would be very much interested to participate in something like this. I think that we should deliver this working group. One would say, isn't it not already existing in the air? Maybe, but yeah, maybe we already have that working group. Maybe it's be just called internet. In any case scenario, I still think that in 21st century, we still have become used to a bit more of formality and a bit more of institutionalized approach to it. I'm going to leave it there.